What's up, everybody? Today, as promised, I have one of my colleagues in the real estate industry, both right here in this Denver market, Katie Reardon from West Main Homes, and she's going to talk about her story from exiting corporate America into full-time real estate. And as a real estate agent, we have a lot of options, and you're going to be surprised at kind of the track she's taken and her journey to exiting corporate America. It's not the typical, build up a business model, build up clients, build up a database, and then dive in with 2 feet. It's totally different strategy and really cool story. So I can't wait to bring that to you. So stay tuned for that. All right, everybody. Why Invest Wednesday? We like to get these guests going. Today, I have another realtor in the Denver metro area, Katie Reardon, on the channel with me. Katie, thank you so much for joining me. We're going to dive into your amazing story about building your investment portfolio and kind of take you back to that entire situation and where you're at today. Obviously retired from corporate America in the real estate game, but mainly in the investment space. And a lot of people on the channel tune in just because they want to get that first investment property and see the power of residual income. So thanks for joining me today. How you doing?
Absolutely, Jeremy. Thanks for having me. I'm great. It's Friday.
Absolutely. It's Friday, but sure. It's Wednesday. No problem. That's so good. I love it.
It's hump day.
So Katie, first of all, let's just start about how many properties do you have? Where did it all begin? What was the vision and where it is now? Tell me that whole story.
Yeah, absolutely. I currently have 10 units, 8 properties, and it started back in 2020. I got my real estate license back in 2019 with the intentions of becoming an investor eventually. I thought it would be a lot further down the road. Things are always unexpected and come up unplanned, which is a good thing sometimes. So I got into my very first property after my father passed away, and he had some property that I was able to leverage. So I'm really grateful that I had that to push me along. Okay.
Yeah. And I mean, ultimately it was your guys' dream, right? To kind of have this, you have the Reardon Estates hat on, to kind of do that. So it's really awesome that you were able to continue that even after he unexpectedly moved on. And I'm sure he's smiling down now. Super proud of his little girl.
He printed out business cards for us before he passed because I was already licensed. So we were going to team up kind of like a Pinky in the Brain style, but luckily he already gave me a good head start. So he's a part of this, whether he knows it or not.
Absolutely. I bet those business cards will never, those are pretty special tokens. You're not leaving those at every listing, I bet.
Yes. So funny.
Okay, cool. So talk about how you leveraged that first property and take us through step by step how you leveraged your portfolio, because as a single yet powerful female or individual, having 8 properties, 10 properties on, a W-2 income, which is, we'll get into in a second. How did you get from point A, from single property to 10 units?
Yeah. So I was already using my real estate commission towards building those funds for investments. Mm-hmm. So I used that, and my dad owned a limousine business back in Pittsburgh, and he built the building himself. So luckily I had that to leverage. I sold that on my own for sale by owner, which was wonderful. So I was able to sell that, and I made about $300,000 off of that, where I was able to, kind of spread myself into multiple properties out here in Colorado. I also had my grandma's home that I was able to do a cash out refinance. So I was able to take that money out and purchase an Airbnb in Florida. So that's how I was able to start leveraging. And then since I was licensed in Colorado, I was buying my own properties myself. So I would just put that commission towards another property and another. So it kind of It kind of spiraled quickly.
Right. And what a great way to utilize your real estate commission. And, a lot of people get into it just for that, so they can save money on their investment. If you talk to the flippers of the world, they're saying, their biggest cost is the real estate expenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you'd basically leverage 2 properties that were left for you, correct? Your grandmother's house was part of the estate. And now you have 10 properties. So other than that, it's just your commissions, which probably weren't like $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 commissions. I know we did a deal together back in the day.
Yeah.
And I hope that commission went to a great property.
It did.
Good. Absolutely. So basically started from 2 properties. Do you still own grandma's house in Florida?
Yes, in Pittsburgh, I still own grandma's house. There's long-time renters in there, so that counts as one of my investments.
That's one of them, but you turned it to 2, right? And
I was able to leverage, a tiny home in Pittsburgh that's not even worth $200,000, which is crazy.
Right.
Into a Florida Airbnb.
Awesome. Okay, so now that we have 10 indoors, and I know from experience that you manage your own properties, talk us through the hardest part about being, a landlord, so to speak, and kind of your core values around that piece, because that's very important as well as the core values of being a landlord.
Absolutely. It has definitely carried its challenges so far, but they're all great learning experiences. I would say the hardest part, it was difficult getting through COVID, making sure renters were paying and that they were still able to stay in the home. But with core values, I'm not a slumlord. I don't believe in being a slumlord. I think that's just going to lead to 100 problems down the road. So you have to do it right, and you have to treat people right as well. So being a landlord has been a full-time job.
Right.
And as you mentioned, I'm the property manager as well, which as Nicole Rueth with the Fairway team, she was the one who told me you should always be a property manager yourself for at least the first year. So you know the back end. You know what needs to be done, what things cost what, how to handle stuff. And that was honestly the best advice I've gotten so far.
Right. Yeah. Nicole has the great Building an Investment Empire class. If anyone's interested, second Thursday of the month, I'll link it below in this video. And I actually have another video that I'll link up here about her and I and choosing an A team, which kind of goes for real estate business as well as the other business. So tell me about the short-term, long-term rental. You have a short-term in Florida and the rest are long-term rentals, meaning that you have, 6 month to a year leases, maybe more in those long-term rentals. So tell me, I currently have 5 long-term and 1 short-term. So I'm interested to hear what you think about the differences and what you've learned going from a long-term, property manager to managing that short-term property.
Yeah, the long-term ones are definitely a bit smoother. I kind of jumped into short-term, again, skydiving style. Let's just jump and hope it works. And luckily, I am fully booked out until next May, which is really cool because I wasn't expecting that much of a success with a short-term rental. But there also comes a lot more legwork with that. I manage that one as well. I do the advertising and bookings and all of that. So it's definitely a little bit more legwork, but it seems like it's going to pay off. Knock on wood.
Absolutely.
But the Florida market's great. Even Colorado, your short-term rental, that's a great investment too. So I'm not opposed to further myself more with properties of short-term.
Right. If you could pick one, like for your next investment, will it be a short-term or a long-term?
Short-term is fun. It keeps you on your toes. There's a little bit more excitement, good and bad with it. So I would like to see what another short-term rental would do. But long-term is great. Is great for, a little bit more stability.
Yeah. And, when we're talking about investments, I kind of compare the short term to kind of crypto, like the quick money, like kind of a shot of adrenaline, like, cool, this is awesome. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, it just crashed and went crazy bad because, I had a tenant break all the plates and just throw a party or whatever, that's.
Oh yeah. Right. That is the best way to put it.
Absolutely. And then the long term's more like the mutual fund, like the slow and steady, like this is what you get. Once a year, you're going to have to go in there and probably fix some holes in the wall or whatever, no matter how great a people you get. I think the thing that I've learned from long-term investing is that people just don't, if it's not theirs, they don't treat it like it's theirs. So I've had the greatest tenants in the world, and sometimes I still have to replace the carpet after they leave or, things like that. So that's interesting. What is your takeaway advice for someone that is just thinking about getting into the industry, just getting into their first investment property? What's kind of a crash course in what they can do and shoot for to get in? Yeah.
Start with educating yourself, but not so much where you're in analysis paralysis. I hear so many people being like, I'm going to get into it. I just need to do more research. Mm-hmm. Yes, knowledge is power, but you also just have to just do it. And I got started, like we mentioned, Nicole's investing class. She was really the thing that helped get me going. And podcasts, books. I'm a really big fan of the Bigger Pockets books that helped me with a lot of my investments. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just get into it. And if people are a little bit nervous about how to start, house hacking is a great form. I wish I would have used it to its fullest, but I'm a bit of someone who once I am in a home that I made my own, I don't want to keep bouncing around year to year, but it is the smartest way to do it and the safest way for newbies in real estate or in investing. Right. I personally house hack my home now. So that's really great. It helps pay my mortgage.
Awesome. That's really a great thing. And for those of you that are, questioning what house hacking is, there's a couple of videos I talk about it on this channel. But essentially, you buy a house, you can use the primary residence loan, so it's a little bit lower cash to get in. You live in it. Maybe it's a basement, has a basement or an upper level, or you rent out rooms in order to pay your mortgage or a portion of that. And then I think the secret is putting the money that you cash flow in a bank account somewhere so that you're ready to go with the next one, and then you can move and rent out the whole house and then do it again at the other one. Obviously, it's funny because almost all of my contacts that are in real estate investment wish they did more house hacking. But, essentially we all got to where we are, with multiple properties and things like that somehow. But you're definitely not the first person that said, I wish I would have done more house hacking, including myself back in the day. And especially me, because I could have done it in 2008 through 13, when things were a little bit less. I didn't have children. I had a girlfriend who's now my wife, but we weren't married. Like we could have moved a couple of times. Now, if I wanted to move every year, we wouldn't be married anymore. I don't think so.
I know it gets a little harder as life progresses, but it is still possible. I think next time I would do luxury house hacking where you have a mother-in-law suite where it's not attached, you're not crossing paths all the time. And those are always great options.
All right, perfect. And what's that final goal of yours? How many properties would you like to have by the time it's all said and done?
33 is the goal.
Okay. All right. And if you want to follow Katie's journey to 33, where can the viewers follow you and kind of see your journey, not only in real estate, but also, along your property investment?
I post most content on Instagram under KT Sells CO. Katie Sells Colorado is my name.
Okay. At K, the letter K, the letter T, Sells, the letter C, the letter O. Katie, thanks so much for your time. I'm so excited to follow your future journey. And it's so incredible that you took literally $500,000 worth of real estate and leveraged it in over 10 properties. So super excited for you and follow that journey. Thanks so much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, absolutely.